Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Daggett, this is Daggett Designs, and I'd like to start off by wishing you all a Happy New Year. I hope that you enjoyed your holiday period. I'm really excited to be back, guys. I hope you guys are excited as I am. I've got some brand new content coming to the channel, as well as some new tutorials, and I've got some fantastic projects coming up that you're going to want to keep an eye out for. What you just saw in the before the intro there is my new workspace. This is my new creative space. I just wanted to give you guys a good look at it before I sit in front of it, directly in front of it. So I hope you liked it, and we're going to jump straight into today's video. So in today's video, we're going to be covering a pretty highly requested topic, and this is how to draw a skull and samurai helmet. And we're going to go ahead and jump to the overhead. Okay, welcome back to the table, everybody. Today we're going to be drawing a skeleton samurai, or a skull samurai, helmet wearing skull, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to do some flames in the background as well, just to sort of tie it together. And as a few of my subscribers have mentioned, they enjoy the format in which I explain things in a series of 3 or 4 videos. That way I can go into more depth and detail in how we're doing this and create larger scale artworks. So I'm going to be doing this tutorial in that format also. So this will be part 1, which is laying down your foundations or doing your undersketch. So to start this one off, we're just using standard sketch paper. This is nothing special, it's A3 in size, and you can just use any piece of paper for this. I've also got my mechanical pencil, and I've got an eraser handy just in case. Alright, so to start this one off, we're going to be drawing in the rough shape of our skull, and we're going to do that fairly centered and slightly to the left side of our page. We're just going to draw in a circle shape like this, and on the right side of it we're going to draw in a little oval. This oval is going to be the side plane of the head, where the side of that circle is actually cut off, and we're going to drop a line straight down like this through that oval, and then a line coming this way, and this gives you the axis, basically telling you what direction the face or skull is going to be facing, which way it's looking. That line's going to be brought across the front of the circle, but not in a straight line. The circle is obviously curved, so that line will connect up and wrap around the front of our circle here. This gives it a little bit of shape and volume. From here, what I'd like to do is just drop a center line in. Again, following the curvature at the top of the head here, we're going to come around the front of the circle, and then we're just going to drop that straight down. To connect this up, we're going to draw a flat line at the bottom of the line that we just did, and then to join it back up, we're going to do a curved line that comes up and meets the top of that oval with a slight curve, like this. And the same thing on the outer side of the head. Of course, we just have to imagine this little oval. It's going to come out and join back into the edge of the circle there. And then we're going to join the bottom of this back up to the bottom of our oval here. Now across the top and bottom of the line that we drew for the eyes, we're going to draw another line above it to give us sort of an eyebrow ridge where that would sit, and a line below it also to indicate the sort of bottom edge of the eyes. Just below this, we're going to drop in a little line to give us the bottom of our nose, and about equal distant to that, maybe a little bit more, another line to give us where the top of our teeth will sit. Now we're only going to be doing the top half of the skull in this illustration, so we only need to put in that one line. So dropping in a little upside down triangle where that line is for the nose. 2 sort of long oval shapes next to it. I guess they're more like squares. And then the same sort of thing on the other side. This one's going to come a little bit closer to our nose shape there, as opposed to this one, which has a little bit of distance as well. To give yourself a little bit of reference for your teeth, just start at the outside of that line and drop in a whole bunch of ovals that sweep across that line. and move slightly upwards towards the end here. And to draw in the shape for our cheeks, we're going to basically bring a line on the outside here. It's going to come out, back in, and connect up with the teeth. And you'll need to play around with this until you get the shape that you like. I might bring that cheek up a little bit higher, like this sort of thing. But this is something that you'll need to play with. You know, there's a bit of style preference in that as well. On the other side of the face here, you're going to somewhat mirror this, just coming across to about here. I'm going to do a little curve, come out a little bit to give us our cheek, and then we're going to come in and add this little sweeping line that just comes back into this oval here. That is to give us the sort of cheekbone area on the other side. To join this left side up with the top of the head, you're going to do a little sort of curved bump there that comes out where the eyebrow ridge would be. Bring it slightly in, and then follow the curve of the head back around. Don't worry too much about the top of the head here, because we're going to be putting a samurai helmet on this guy very shortly. At the back area of this eye, we're going to bring a line that sort of follows along the line that we did here, coming towards the eye. There'll be a section there where it joins, and then another line that comes up and back. If you want to, you can add this little eyebrow ridge line, and these are little stylistic preferences that you can add to your artworks to give them a little bit more character and make them more your own. Okay, to start drawing in the foundations of our helmet shape, basically you'd be putting a little baseball cap on this dude first. So just sweep a curved line across the front of the head like this. And you'll want to leave a little bit of room above the eyes as well for the, I guess we'll call it the brim of the hat. And we'll make this into a dome that comes up and of course back down. And you want this to be a fair bit taller and wider than the actual skull. From here we're going to draw that little brim portion, so we're basically going to come off this edge of our shape, bring a line forward. It's going to have a slight curve on the corner there. And it's going to come across the top of the eyes here in a slightly curved fashion, curving slightly upward. And when you get to the top area of this eye, you're going to bring it back up into the main sort of area of the cap part of this. Okay, so as you can see, it looks like our skull is wearing a little baseball cap, but we are going to turn this into a samurai helmet, trust me. Coming from this side of the head here, we're going to drop a little curved line that comes from this point on the cap, roughly, and just do a straight line for now that drops down to just sort of above the cheek area here. And then we're going to add a slight curve to it. We're going to add a curved line to the top of this, coming back away from the front of the skull. Another curved line coming down, and then joining that up with another curve like this. So if you think about it, it's like drawing a cylinder that's been squeezed on the sides. And you just want to double up on the bottom and the top curved line while we're at it. Now you want this shape to be somewhat mirrored on the other side, so we're going to draw our curved line down like that. Curved line across the top and a curved line across the bottom. You're obviously going to see a little bit less of it because it's on the other side of the head there. And once again, you just double up on the top and bottom lines. Okay, so a second ago, it looked like a little skull dude wearing a baseball cap. Now it looks like a skull dude wearing a baseball cap that has the little beer holders on the side, the little drink holders. We just need to add the straws that go into his mouth. But again, we're going to keep adding to it, and trust me, it will look like a samurai helmet. Okay, we're going to come in from just underneath this bottom curve that we did. We're just going to bring that back around for a second, as though we're going to complete the bottom, but not quite. From behind the bottom line and in front of the line that we just did now, we're going to bring a line that comes down with a curve in this direction. Okay, got a slight less bit of curve at the bottom there, just like that. And then coming from the back portion of this, imagining that we're connecting up to this line here, we'll bring a line out like that, and then to connect them, another curved line. To mirror this on the other side, you're going to be seeing the inside of the shape that we just drew on this side. So we're just going to somewhat mirror that down the other side like that, and then coming back behind our teeth here to give us the sort of inner shape of this. You're seeing the inside part of it. And now you can start to see the shape of our samurai helmet forming. Okay, in the center of the forehead there, or just above the brim of our hat, we're going to draw in a circle. And you can put whatever little symbol you'd like inside that circle. You've got many options here. You could do a little tiger head, obviously made of whatever material the hat's made of, or brass or bronze. You could do a little dragon head, a little Hannya mask. The options are pretty much unlimited in the realm of, you know, creating these helmets, and it is sort of a creative thing, unless you're trying to go for accuracy, in which case I would probably be studying the hell out of samurai helmets and trying to find the best sort of reference for drawing them in a really realistic way. So in that small circle that we drew, I'm going to be drawing a Mitsudomo. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, someone correct me in the comments down below. I think it's Mitsudomo. And it's essentially a symbol from Shinto Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, which was sort of adopted by the samurai because I assume because it was a symbol representing the god of war. And to draw it, we're going to do a small circle in the middle to give us a sort of point of reference. We're going to have a point here, here, and here, basically evenly spread out. And then we're going to do these little curves to connect those points to the center. And then a longer curve to connect them to the next point. A little curve connecting it to the center. A long curve connecting it to the next point. A little curve connecting it to center. And a longer curve connecting it to its next point, like this. Okay, last thing we're going to put in at the top of this helmet here is some horns. I'm not sure what else they're called. Maybe there's a proper name for them. There's obviously a Japanese name for them. Basically, we're going to come out from that center symbol that we just did to one side. And then we're going to sweep up fairly sharply, just above the top of our helmet line here. And then bring another line out like that. And then we're going to mirror this on the bottom. So we're going to come out again, sweeping up to meet up with that line, just like that. And to do this on the other side, you're basically going to do the same thing, but you're going to cut the top line a little bit short. The bottom line will come out like that. And this one's going to go a little more directly up, just because of the angle that we're viewing it on. So it's going to have a slight sharper sort of takeoff to it. And it's going to be just a little bit skinnier, again, just because of the angle that we are viewing it from. Now, since this first video in the series is about laying down framework, laying down a foundation so we know where to go with our next part, we're going to do a little bit of contour lines just to show you what direction these things should be flowing in. So these little cylinders on the outside are flowing in this direction. So your contour lines can go along the outside of the cylinder, just following the shape of this bottom curve basically. Same goes for this outside cylinder. You've got these contours, it's wrapping around the object like that. The brim at the top of this is basically flat across the top like this. The outside of this part of the helmet here wraps slightly around like this. So that's got an outside sort of sweep to it, outside curve. On the other side is the opposite to this. It's going to curve the opposite direction. And of course the little dome on the top is going to be like half of a ball shape. So it's going to have these lines that go around it just like that, which are going to give it that sort of spherical dome shape. And you can drop in a center line of the helmet and base your lines off that as well. Is probably a more accurate way to mimic that. But this is just to give you the contour lines of the shapes so that you have a rough idea about how everything wraps around the different elements of the design and just makes things a little bit clearer. Okay, from here I just want to put in the foundational shapes for the ropes. So normally there'd be ropes that you tie underneath your chin, and this keeps the helmet from falling off obviously. In this case they're going to be sort of floating around because we are missing a bottom jaw. And to stylize things a bit, I want to add a little bead, just a little decorative bead. So I'm going to drop in a little barrel shape, and this little barrel shape will be our bead later on. So for contours they come across like this. Okay, and then to draw in our rope, I always start by just drawing in these long tube shapes. So coming into one side of our bead, if it's hollow on this side, I'm going to draw a doubled up line that's basically like a tube shape going in like that. And we're going to sort of mirror this on the other side. Just coming out the other side of the bead with these tubes like that. Okay, now one end is going to sweep out this way and just put a little rounded end on that, and it's going to loop back around itself and forward this way. So just drawing your tubes coming forward as well. And then this sort of little knot and frayed end, we're just going to put in a little oval shape to represent that. And now just on the opposite side, you're going to do a very similar thing. You're going to come out and down this time with our little tube shape with the curved end to it. And then we're going to bring that end around and up into another little tube. And again, just put an oval on the end of this to give us our other frayed end of the rope where we have that little tied off end. Okay, and that gives you a really basic framework for how to draw the skull and the helmet sitting over it. And I think this is going to end up being a really cool painting once we get to those sort of last stages. So now what I'd like to do is show you a little bit of detail that's going to happen on the skull portion of this design. And then in the next tutorial, we'll work on detailing out the helmet and adding in the background flames before we ink the design. All right, so on detailing the skull here, we're going to start with the nose. Basically, bring a line down that curves at the bottom and comes up to a peak like that. You bring that peak back down, curve around, and come back to the top. It's like an upside down love heart shape, sort of. And from the tip of that little peak that we did, we're just going to go back and up into the nose with a curved line like that. And that's a little bit of cartilage or bone or whatever that's on the inside of the nose there. Now, with all of the lines you do on your skull, depending on the style that you're doing, I like to add a little bit of line variance and a bit of sort of jitter to them. And this is to give them an uneven look, because the skull is, you know, it's an organic shape. It's made of bone. So of course it's not going to be completely smooth and perfect in all areas. And it helps, I think, aesthetically to make the skull look a little bit more worn down and damaged. So I like to add in these little sort of rough edges to it. And you'll see other people do this. You just play around with it till you find your sort of way of doing it. From here, there's going to be an outside line to the nose. So coming from the outside tooth here, I'm going to come up a little bit and then bring a curved line in towards the nose, just a little bit. It's going to follow the outside shape of the nose all the way to the top. And then it's going to curve in towards that center line and out towards this side of the skull. This gives us like the bridge of the nose area up here, which you can make more elongated, more shallow, depends how you want this to look. And also creates the start of our eyebrow ridge on that side of the face there. To sort of detail this eye here, again, you're just going to add a little bit of roughness to these lines, and you can further refine this when you ink the design using line weight variance or boosting. And at the back of the eye here, there's this little connection point. So there's a little rough bone here, and above it, it joins together. So I like to just fatten the edge of these up and add a little bit of curvature to it. And on the inside of the eye there, I'm just going to add in this sort of doubled up line. And you're going to just do the same thing for the other side of the eye, but the outside edge here is going to follow the curvature of the outside of the face. So just being careful to follow that along and bring our eye shape back in and up. And back around behind the nose there. And again, just adding in our little sort of ridge at the side. With the cheeks here, I'm going to come down, and then I'm going to fairly sharply come back up before coming down into the mouth. Same sort of thing on the other side, creating this little lip before coming back up. And then you're going to draw in these really soft lines that come around and follow the bottom contour of the cheeks. Just underneath the nose here, I'm going to add in this little smooth peak shape just underneath the nose. Gives it another little bony ridge where you can add a little bit more shading to it, and allows you to add a little bit more detail to it also. Now, just to add a little bit of more detail to our cheeks here, we're going to add some contour lines that basically come out of the eye socket, following the contour of the cheek, and then cut back in that under portion of the cheek. So basically an opposing curve. We'll add one more on this side, like that. And these can be done with really, really thin lines in your final line work. Might add one more across here. And we'll do the same thing on the other side, just coming out of the eye. And then back under the cheek there. Again, not completely necessary. It's a bit of a style preference thing, and you can just mess around with it. That's just the way that I like to draw my skulls. To draw in our teeth, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to basically follow the shapes that we did and turn them into more like almond shapes. Very similar to how I've done some of the tiger and panther teeth in previous tutorials. I'll start with this middle one here. You're basically going to come up to a little point. In this case, I don't want the point to touch, so we're just going to leave a tiny gap. Follow our shape out and down. Flatten out that bottom a little bit, and then come back up. Coming up to the next one, adding a point or a peak, coming down, flattening the bottom and coming back up. And you're going to do this for all of the teeth. If you want to leave a tooth out, I'll show you how to do that also. Okay, so sometimes when I'm drawing skulls, or in general when you draw skulls, it can be cool to leave a few teeth out. It looks like they've been knocked out or they've fallen out over time as the skull has decayed. So to do that, basically find a spot where a tooth should be. Bring a line up and back down. This will be sort of where the tooth would have slotted into. And then just behind this, you can add a bit of sort of decayed bone there. And then I like to add another little textured line just behind that as well. And then you can basically continue to add your teeth in from there, and you'll have this spot where you've got a missing tooth. And you can of course add these missing teeth, as many or as few as you'd like, and make this skull look really decayed or a little bit more fresh. Now adding a little bit of detail above the teeth just to add some texture. You can come out from above some of the teeth and just add in these little curved lines. And this will give the skull a little bit more shape and detail. It's not completely necessary. Sometimes I'll leave these out, just depends on the illustration that I'm doing and how much attention and detail I want to draw to the skull. You can also add in these little divots, which are basically just loops that you end up shading, and they kind of look like little dimples and divots in the bone texture. And last thing you want to do to sort of detail out your skull is add the back of the head here. Because we don't have a bottom jaw, you'll see a little shadow in the background, and that's the sort of back part of the skull. You won't see a lot of it, just coming in behind the teeth here. Just draw in some uneven sort of jagged lines that are going to disappear off into the helmet. And this will nearly all be painted black at the back here, so I wouldn't worry about detailing that out too much. But we're just adding in some rough sort of bone texture to give us the back of the skull. Okay, now that is it for this part of the video. We've drawn the skull in a fair amount of detail to start with and put in all of the construction lines for the helmet and the ropes. And in the next part, we're going to go ahead and detail out the helmet and the ropes, add the flames in, and do some line work. That is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for supporting me. Last year was crazy. We passed 3,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'm looking to hit 10K this year, guys, so let's push it. Share these videos with your friends and other people that want to be creative and learn how to draw as well. Now, when I hit 3K subs, I posted something in the community section, but I'm not sure how many people saw it. So I left a link in the description down below to my Google Drive share folder. And in that folder, you'll find two wall art prints. They're digital downloads, digital downloadable prints of mine. So you can go ahead and download those and print them out for yourself. As study reference or as a piece of wall art. And there is also a Peony stamp brush for Procreate users who are doing digital art. So if you head over to my website at daggetdesigns.com.au, I have a brush pack available. It's on sale at the moment. It has over 25 brush stamps, Japanese inspired, Japanese themed brush stamps that are all hand drawn by me. And these are perfect for creating mock-ups. They're perfect for creating your own designs and Japanese inspired artwork. And you can get one of those brushes for free just by clicking the link in the description down below, no strings attached. If you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss videos when they come out. And that's it from me today, guys. So keep drawing and I'll see you next time. Bye.